shall not be left in peace. You know, all this would be fine, we could work out if we were left in peace, time might, you know, etc. But I think we shall not be left in peace. There's the prophetical Herzl speaking. He doesn't think they're going to be left in peace to sort this out. He speaks about extermination. He doesn't see that as possible yet. But look, no nation, bottom of that page 209, has endured such struggles and sufferings. Jew baiting has merely winnowed out our weaklings, the strong among us, to finally return to their own whenever persecution breaks out. He's obviously been reading a little Nietzsche here. The will to power and stuff like that. Nietzsche is a very influential philosopher at the end of the 19th century, if you've read him. And, you know, he speaks in a Nietzschean sense here to some extent. But anyway, what does he mean by Jew baiting, first of all? Jew baiting is like hep, that kind of thing. Mel Gibson is a Jew baiter. That's really what he is.
He's too subtle.
No, he's not too subtle. I think he wants the Jews to criticize. Yeah, that's right. He wants the, pardon me, I missed it. He wants the Jews to criticize his movies so that it will get more publicity and sell more tickets, and people want to know what the fuss is all about. That's what Jew baiting is. You know, if the worse he portrays them, then the more he knows they're going to react, and the more people are going to want to know, oh, you know, what's this all about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's about our Lord, so it's got to be okay in the end. The passion of our Lord, what could be wrong with that? You know, nothing can be wrong with that, finally, except how it's portrayed, perhaps. And anyway, he's a classic one. And he says, and of course all the Jews jumped to the bait when that movie came out. They would have been much wiser to ignore it. You know, as we said last time, Borat is a kind of Jewish Jew baiter. You know, he's doing something of the same thing, but his is less, you know, he can get away with it easily. Anyway, he says, that's fine. The Jew baiters are the ones who can't take it, you know, can't take this. Let them go. Let them convert. Let them be gone. If they don't have the honor to stand up to this, you know, here's the duelists from the fraternities in the German university town speaking, you know, let the weaklings go if that's what they want. There are enough strong people who will return to their own and stand when the chips are down. And that's happened in Israel. You have to say that that's happened in Israel. I just had an interesting experience the other day where my sons, we had knew some people in Israel, and they were young and they played with their children. They were like 10, 9, 11, and they thought these people were like wimps or something like that. And then we came back to California and lived here and so on. And one of the little boys, who was really a mommy's boy and so on, I heard later on, you know, just recently, that I had lost contact with these people, that he had been with my son in a cave situation. They'd been playing out in a lonely area outside the confines of Jerusalem, and some Arabs, shepherd or whatever, just sort of people looking for trouble, saw them and took them into a cave. And it was before the Palestinian thing got cute, so it wasn't a matter of people trying to just cut people's throats or something like that. They took them into a cave and they were going to do something, you know, try to maybe just torment them or whatever. They were little kids, you know, that they were laughing at, but they had taken them prisoner in a way. And my son said to the boy with him, come on, run now, when they weren't looking, you know. And the boy was so frightened. No, I can't, I'm too frightened, you know. He said, you have to. And he ran, and then he came back, and he went back for it because the boy couldn't move. He was incapacitated by fear. And he never forgot this story, my son had told him. And so that boy, when he grew up, I saw the pictures of him, now 6'1", a very strapping boy, you know, and so on. Went to the Israeli army for 6 years, became a part of a paratroop commando unit, you know, dropped behind enemy lines and so on. Was in a unit that was decimated in warfare, where 3 of his buddies were killed and so on and so forth. And has been in the Israeli army for 6 years, or something like that. And that's what a landed people can do. And when I told my son, he was a guy, he just couldn't believe it. He just like he was like totally amazed. And it is amazing. It is amazing how something can happen, transform people like that. It's something, you know, even now when I tell it to you, I'm just so astonished to see such a thing. And he was someone you would never imagine this could happen, and then to stay extra time in the Army, in a combat unit, and so on, looking at him at that point when he was 9 or 10 years old, you know. The world is a strange place. So that when the chips are down, he says, they will stand. My son would never have believed it in this particular case, but there it is. Even more than my son, I have to say. So anyway, as he goes on here, I have to hurry up a little bit. So this was most clearly apparent in the period immediately following the emancipation of the Jews. Those Jews who rose highest intellectually and materially lost their sense of unity with the people. And that's the criticism that Eisenman, everyone will make of Herzl, that he doesn't really represent the common people. And who's he talking about here? You know, the Mendelssohns, the descendants of Mendelssohns, the Heinrich Heines, the Karl Marxes, all these people who lost their sense of unity with the people. Where we get secure for a given period of time, we assimilate. But this is, he doesn't think this is, anyway. He doesn't think, he's not particularly enamored of that. Because all prejudices against us are still deeply ingrained in the folk ethos. He would have proof of this. He'd only listen to the people where they speak candidly and artlessly. Folk wisdom, folklore are both anti-Semitic. And that's interesting he says that, because I told you about Rabbi Kahana, who, that's what he used to say, as I told you. He was a Jewish extremist, of course. And he was killed by Arabs, ultimately in Brooklyn, at one of his speeches. He obviously didn't know how to defend himself. He couldn't defend everyone else, but he couldn't defend himself. But the point was that he used to say, if you want to know what people really think about Jews, and I told you this already, but I'll repeat it, just go into a bar. That was a good line for people. I'm not a sports bar, I'm talking about the old style bars where people used to lie all over and get drunk. We don't have so many of those anymore, thank God. That's a wave of the last 150 years that seems to have been passing. I think they have a few still down in San Diego and places like that. And there's a few, I think that's an army town, San Diego. There's a few, if you go downtown Newport Beach and places.